Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon listeners. It's me Sulaiman Sware coming back for a brief discussion. Today is the 20th of May 2022. The time is just gone 21 minutes past 3 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. Let's share this video and I will start the program. Assalamu alaikum, thank you very much. Yes, today is Friday, the 20th of May 2022. The time is just gone 21 minutes past 3 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. Our discussion today, a brief one, will center on the leaked central bank circular and the state of our economy. I mean, this is what we're going to concentrate on, but just in brief. We'll come to the circular, but I want to just to start by looking at some background information, and before we can put the circular into better perspective, because many people are reacting to it, or in fact questioning or wondering what is going on, and because there's no notes that follow it. It's just a leaked circular that we have, and we start to think about the excuses that have been forwarded in many quarters, especially by the government, and not only Gambia government, many governments. But one thing we will find out is responsible government or effective governments are taking measures, to try to deal with the situation we found ourselves. But another problem here, and we need to note, is some of these countries were prepared. They were trying to build their economy. They were fighting corruption. They were trying to grow the economy, and they always try to get the competent people to run their economy and run their governments. In our case, that was not the reason. That was not the conditions. Competency was disregarded. Corruption was encouraged, and political projects were given priority. And we have been, sounding the alarming bells, but people did not listen. But the other excuse they will go into is COVID. We all know it's true, it's a fact. COVID had an impact. But in the case of Gambia, in fact, when COVID hit, it was a time for them to even loot the coffers more. it was time for them to loot the coffers more. They have not actually done any interventions, not in the medical field. We still see the conditions. We haven't seen the procurement they talked about. We didn't see any effect of anything. In fact, our healthcare just run down with all the budget support they received from the World Bank, IMF, and the budget redirection they did not. It ended up in their personal bank accounts again. We all heard about the COVID corruption. But not only that, the bit that should go to the people to help the people was in fact another avenue for them to politicize it in order, again, to give it to their patrons and another corruption. The so-called food aid and everything else was corruption. And we looked at another component where some of the employees really hit was tourism. And the 100 million still cannot be accounted for, to support the tourists, people working in that sector. This is what these things. Then COVID cannot just be an excuse. We remember what happened and how it was dealt with. The recent one is Russia and Ukraine war. It's a fact again. This is another fact that is affecting the entire, countries in this world. But again, it will affect more the countries that depend on imports. And Gambia, we entirely depend on imports because we have not been doing the right things. Agriculture got neglected, corruption just ensured, and anything that involves procurement is an opportunity for corruption, because it's encouraged. We have had the fertilizer scandal, we had the fertilizer scandal. It's just an example. But again, the incompetency. The sector is not given the priority needed, and because of the monopoly of importers, now even we don't try to create markets for farmers, and we expect to grow. And again, the other resources we have, like our marine resources, are disregarded, to be left to be abused by the EU, by the Chinese, by the Turkish, by the Senegalese, by any other person, but not to benefit the Gambia because of the corruption again. That's the situation, and that's the excuse they keep on forwarding. That's why I said the facts are the failure is due to lack of reforms. The failure is due to lack of reforms. I'm not saying that we would not have a struggle, but we would have been in a better place. We could have something to cushion in these problems, as other countries are doing. And still we are not reacting to it properly, but we'll talk about that later. The lack of reforms, lack of planning. The reforms are instrumental. And let's just look at the reforms in the sense of the economy. What did we diversify? The reforms to fight corruption. Corruption is the mother of all evils. Civil unrest and anything else we afraid of. Undermining of these things, it's corruption. And then that incompetence as well. Just doing things for political reasons or based on nepotism. Then we should have moved away from those things. We should have been fighting those things. We have changed the mindset of Gambians. Did this government try to change the mindset of Gambians? No, it's continuity. What led us to the 22 years of dictatorship was failure. But the 22 years of dictatorship entrenched and changed the mindset of Gambians. And the reforms would have tried to change that mindset. Trying to fix the problems created during the dictatorship. But no. Instead, it was prioritization of continuity, of the incompetence, of corruption, and of overspending on corrupt political projects. Or the development, everything was about political projects, regardless of the cost to the economy, regardless of whether we can do it or not. Banyan road projects. The last time we checked, it have gone over 50 million. US dollars. Something that started from 35 million US dollars. And we have seen what pipe work that is. It's not even worth the 5 million US dollars project. But we all know why. And it went on. All these the domestic road projects were all done for political reasons and to this thing. But things that need to fix the country was not looked at. We have not looked at educational reforms. How do we expect to grow as an economy when our workforce, which is made of youths, are not prepared, are not skilled up? Skill up, even the discipline to work that needed to be retaught to a lot of youths. They lost that. Because one system of the dictatorship was to distract the youths. Jamboree all the time, bringing artists from everywhere else that will become the youths, these things. I'm not saying all the youths. Those reforms, instead of looking at building institutions, no. But they straight away went on trying to create youth movements. To do what? And train them again. And those youth movements are the poor people, because their sons and daughters are in America, Europe, and other places. Schooling and other places. Or even if they're in Gambia, they're in international schools. It does not affect them. It does not affect them. The social capitals that needed to be built up were neglected. The human resource capitals were neglected. And they continued the systems based on favoring patrons. The private sector continued the same way, even got worse, being patrons of government or the patrons of the political party of government, and they have what they want. Now the government will disregard their policies in order to advance their the business people that give them money or supports them. In the case, just as example of the onions, when we have, even the dictatorship had one thing was right, was a moratorium. Make sure that no onions are not imported during this period, so that to help Gambian farmers to sustainably access markets. But no, they allow them to dump, because it's dumping. If any country can produce the same thing you produce, it's not only about being affected. No, it's been subsidized. Holland subsidized, and most of this country are subsidized and dumping into our markets. How do we expect to grow? How do we expect to grow? These are issues that have affected us, and we have been sounding the alarming bells. And Gambia, we've been saying it. Oh no, yeah, we are developing, or we are doing this. It's a lie. We said it was a lie. What happened to Sri Lanka? And with that, I have used Sri Lanka before. We used Sri Lanka as an example of what's going to happen to us before Sri Lanka became this. They went to the Chinese to take loans, they went everywhere to take loans, corruption and so on. I mean, people are not, social capitals are not being built. Loans repayment, the corruption. And what happened? Now they cannot afford to do things. They can afford to pay services. They cannot afford to import petrol and other things. They're trying to ask for injection of $80 million just to stabilize some aspect of it. And I can tell you, individual politicians that have served that government can produce 80 million. The crisis in Nigeria, we said it. And Gambia, we think we will be immune when we do everything. Everything that we will do is taken to the part of that unrest. But they will tell you that, no, it's the people on social media creating unrest. It's the activists who are wanting to create unrest. When a country is run in this manner, it is happening. It is happening. If the interventions are not done right, Gambia is going to go into unrest. Gambia is one of those countries that will fail. It already failed, but I mean it's going to go onto social unrest. United Kingdom is predicted. Even the United Kingdom, there's prediction. But do you know what they do when they do their prediction? They get out and do something. And that's what they do. Just yesterday, what they did, they leaked the information that actually there's a surplus of gas stock in the United Kingdom, and already that is the wholesale gas prices are going down. Yes, the household is not impacting on the household yet, but down the line there's hope that it's going to impact on the household. That's how they build in confidence. They have revealed that. They are so scared in many ways. The Metropolitan Police of Central London is telling police officers to use their initiative. If someone is caught stealing food to eat, use your own initiative. Don't just apply the law. Because they are anticipating difficult times. But as a government, they're trying to redirect. They're trying to find ways to cushion this. Yes, they have means and ways to cushion this, because they employ people on competency. They manage the economy for days like this. There have been world economic crash in the 60s, 70s, 80s. They said it. In the 90s, the economic boom continued until we had the recession, what was caused by the financial crisis from the Wall Street to contaminated the city of London. But for every other century, decade, we had economic crisis, depressions, recessions, but they will always work their way out. The complete running of the United Kingdom economy was transformed, moving away from never sustainable again to do certain things. They move on to something else that they will be good at. How they open up the service sector. How they make sure, these things, that's what government do. But what do? We have nothing absolute, but they will want to keep on telling us lies. They want to distract us and just tell you how stupid we can be at times, knowing that it's inevitable. But one, they can't. Some of them can't. Two, they can't in many ways, because they are addicted to this corruption. They are addicted to this way of life. Go and see how light some of these people live, and you'll be surprised what their monthly earning is. You'll be surprised what their monthly earning is and the life they lead. They are addicted to that. They cannot do the right thing. They are shackled by business interests. And it's interesting, in fact, where the leak came out from. It's interesting. And if people think that this circular or this measure is any measure, I tell you, I think it's one of the dumbest measures ever. Yes, it's not that I'm an expert, but we have seen it. We've seen it in Zimbabwe when it started to crumble. We've seen it in Sri Lanka. We've seen it in every other country. You don't try to force the markets. There was a reason. It was that mechanism was put in place. But we'll look at that. Let's just take a typical example now of what I said. Let's base it on facts. Typical example of what I have said about the lack of reforms, the lack of planning, the continuity of culture of corruption, incompetency, and the overspending on political projects rather than having a strategic development plan. Where is the NDP? The NDP was all hype up. But the minute they looked at the NDP, they thought, no, sir. If we go this, we cannot win an election. No, we have to do things that Gambian can see, not what Gambian can feel. That's how stupid they are. Oh, we have to have another university so that we can say that you have built a university. We have to build more roads. Even the roads will lead to nowhere. But where roads are more, should be, I'm not saying that other places don't deserve roads, but strategic. Strategic. What you need first, what you require first to make it sustainable, to make the economic work, to make growth happen, to show that you can take money, not from borrowing, to take more money from what you generated and to go for the next one. Even if you had used the forced money to borrow, to build road networks around, open up the combo, to go into the phony, so that to these things and do other things. But no, chock-a-block, chock-a-block, chock-a-block. The country is just like a war zone. Because of what? Oh yeah, let's put one in there. We have to win here. We have to win there. We have to promise these people there. And no, even the international community would not lend you money, because they have seen the distress you are in. No, let's raise it domestically. And say, yeah, why not we raise our own money to borrow domestically? And all inflated projects, corruption. Okay, Nomi, this place, that place, that place, that place. And saying that I build more road than ever. Where did it lead us? Did you build the capacity for agriculture? Where are the tractors? Where are the other things? Did you build the people? Did you build the workforce? Did you build the youths to go into agriculture and other things? Even the youths have already pick up agriculture. Did you support them? No. Are there any programs, initiatives? No. But you want to organize the youths in what? Just to entrench you. Let's look at an example. The continuity, central bank. Let's take central bank itself. The central bank itself. And again, I didn't want to expand this. I could have given you examples of what it meant to have confidence and to avoid speculation. From every economic crash, one thing there is a confidence and about speculation. The Black Monday here, Black Friday of the 60s, we can go on and go on and go on. But let's come to the central bank, the importance of a central bank, and see how much this central bank have failed. And do you know why it failed? Just a quick history of this. You know, when I keep on saying the PPP government have done a lot. They introduced a central bank. They introduced a central bank. When many African countries, especially French, cannot even run their independent central bank. They have to rely. But we took our own currency. We built a central bank. And that central bank grew to give confidence to the markets, investors, to give direction to the economy because of the fiscal and monetary policies and the supervision of banking. Up to early 90s, when again, as I always said, if you look at the Jawara, the PPP government, sorry, I don't want to use the word Jawara because, just to not to disrespect, to leave him to lay in peace, but the PPP government, you can look at what happened from our independence, what happened in the 60s, late 60s, how things were done, how effective, how competent, 70s, 80s, late 70s, what happened. And when you look at this, you look at what happened in the sub-region or what happened in geopolitical terms. When the recessions happened, and all these things, how it affect us. But the central bank grew, professional, been run by Sirif Cisse's, the TGG Senghors, and very competent people. In 1990, Abdou Ndiaye was very competent. But something was in us, the same thing that was affecting a lot of institutions, the competition and infighting. There was kind of a competition and infighting. And most of the competition, I mean, that's why we want to use the word competition, in fact, because most of it was not hate for each other, was not hate for what one person represents somewhere else. It was about their growth, their ambitions. And this ensured we had this kabudu culture, as we had in other places. The central bank was not unique. And there was already a traditional, I call it traditional, or a structured, a traditional way of determining the succession to the higher echelon of the central bank. In most cases, government, that's what we're writing, the government, the president appoint. You see, because this is the same culture we inherited from the British until in the United Kingdom, until the mid 90s, late 90s actually, when the new level of government came and gave a complete autonomy to the central bank, what we call the Bank of England, complete autonomy. But it was kind of run the same way, because of just to make sure people have confidence, investors have confidence that what they do is not political. That's what they did. Now, there was a kind of competition. Let's call it competition. You have the Sankum bios, and from the Economic Research Bureau, for other departments kind of competing and people trying to position themselves. You have the Keba phones and other people, and certain things happened, and some people were extracted, you know, started to give this thing of favoritism or nepotism of trying to arrange these things. But what helped was that they have a competent central bank governor who managed to hold on, and it wasn't that bad. It was just a symptom or something affecting them, just as it was affecting every other institution at that time. If you go into the security forces, it was one. You go to defend, this thing was one. Because of the PPP government was tired, started to, show signs of all other things. But the minute the coup happened in 1994, the stability of central bank, the independence of the central bank, or the little independence we had in the central bank, we lost it. We all had the Janneh Commission. How people were hired, fired, people are instructed, not only even letters been sent, now it's just to send a note to say, yeah, Jammeh said this. That was the culture they end up with. But to the level, if there was a corruption of this, it became that. Now for the first time we hear people land contests, running bureau de change, becoming multimillionaires in our eyes because of the kind of parallel markets they created, conflict of interest with Jammeh to run forex in the country. They started to disrupt the markets. They did that. We all know what we found ourselves. Instead of understanding the nature of corruption, a culture of corruption, culture of the kabudu and everything else, to start to bring about change, instead of parachuting someone who is not contaminated with this, someone who is not compromised with this, to come and run, or a team, in fact, to come and run to reform the central bank and to maintain its independence and integrity. No. What do? We promote people who were already in the system. Governor, 2 deputy governors, and everybody else elevated. And we expect the problems to solve. One, I said lack of reforms, continuity, that's an example. What do we expect? How do you bring about change when change Reforms, when reforms are leadership-led. Have you produced the leaders to lead the reforms? No. This system became entwined, continued. The cabodus and everything continued. And it's gotten worse. And we will look at it. I'll give an example here. Counter example. In the sense where they tried to bring an individual at Social Security, Mohamed Manjan, who was from outside and come neutral. What happened? They resisted the reforms because of what the system fought against him, because he came with the leadership to reform the institution, Social Security. You think if we had that approach at GRA and Central Bank and every other things, what would have happened? But no, because of the system itself, led by politicians, did not want the reforms at the Social Security. Because they want the same old. And not only, we have to remember again, it's not only people working at the institution, not only the politician, but again the stakeholders. People doing business with Social Security, procurement, banking, and every other thing. It's a system and part of the corruption. What they did, they fought to get the man out. But in the short duration, what good management do or leadership does, short duration, the operational cost of this thing, I cannot remember the figures again. The operational cost of Social Security was drastically brought down, because that's how the corruption happened. Operational cost was drastically brought down, and the assets of this thing started to appreciate. Money. Go and find out what is happening there now, or what had happened after Mohamed Manjang left. Go and look at branch seats. Go and look at the operational cost again. Just to give an example of what reforms are. But Central Bank continued. They just elevated people from there. You expect change? No, even the mindsets needed to be changed. That's why reforms are leadership led. In order to be effective, mindsets have to be informed by people, have to be informed by system, have to be informed by strategy. That strategy have to affect the systems. How do you expect to change that if we don't change the personals within? Because of that system, I give you an example. One of the after I shared it's on my timeline, one of the reports of internal examination from the bank within. This is about Megabank. We give you a background, quick background, because it's brief. It's going to be brief. Megabank was Keystone Bank, was called Keystone Bank. Keystone was owned by, I think, Nigerians, and they had liquidity problem. And they had bad debts because of the bank was not run right. And obviously, bank was not run right. And before that, actually, something I want to explain to, one thing Yahya Jammeh did was, we all know we had, three banks before Yahya Jammeh, and we just, at the moment, we just had all this bank coming. And it was called liberalization or progress. No, it's a lie. It's just an opening up for money laundering and all the ills of economic crimes. That's what it was. And that's what it is still. That's why you have all these banks. But now, let's get to, we had onto Keystone Bank, you call it, or whatever bank you call it. They had a problem, it was taken over by Central Bank. Central Bank have to inject about 3 billion or 6 billion in order to tidy up the bank, to prepare the bank to be put back into private hands in 3 years. Up to 6 years now, they are in the process now of selling it. For 6 years, they hold on to it. Now, to give you an example, as I said, the problems of lack of reforms and everything else wrong with the economy and the country, let's look at Central Bank. I given the example of Megabank. And this bank was called Megabank. Now, their own internal investigations, not Ben Swale. You want to look at the reports, it's on my timeline. Their own internal investigations, what we call examinations, which are not audits. They are not audits, they are similar to audits, but these examinations are to look at the systems and so on. It's just like intervention to risk assess the portfolio, or in this sense in the bank, to risk assess it in order for intervention to be had and to avoid problems. It was not like external audits or internal audits, but kind of examination. It's very similar to audits, but it's not reaching to what if you had to audit it. The findings of the audit, of the examination, was just astounding. The same thing, the system continued. They created a portfolio in order to save, but no, they continue what even was at Keystone. They had a weak system. Megabank have a weak system. People, loans were given, collateral were not done properly. Operations, funds were not looked at properly. The audits were not strong. Supervision was lacking. Central bank, I'm telling you. Yes, a review, examination, a review. Lacking. What they found, the bank was not fit. It was weak. To today, they have not acted on this report. The people have lost a lot of money from that bank because we injected money in that bank. People are owing that bank. They're not going to pay. And the system, because some of those people end up becoming patrons of the government, patrons of politicians. You expect them to pay. This is the same system, I said, from the First Republic that brought us the fall of commercial bank, brought of the fall of, I know some people cannot remember this event, the Agricultural Development Bank. We did have an Agricultural Development Bank. PPP have introduced a lot, but again, corruption, nepotism, fighting each other, kabudu, just brought everything down. Because the institutions are not prepared for what happens. You have external shocks that come in. We are not prepared. This happens. So Megabank is an example of what had happened. The politicization. Politicization now in the institutions in the Gambia, or people are appointed to be opposition, UDP or Barra. UDP or Barra. Now, technocrats or whatever you call them, people who are supposed to be in state enterprise and everything now, are labeled. And it's one way of fighting each other. Now, we are not only fighting each other because based on tribe or other these things now, we are fighting based on opposition law or pro-Barola and so on. The politicization, because there's no professionalism. And now people using this as excuse. In instance, yes, some people might be tag opposition, UDP, but or they themselves even tag themselves, oh no, because of they perceive me to be UDP. No. Yes, that might be true, but again, that doesn't mean that you're not digging in. No, they're looking sympathy. They're looking for sympathy from us. They're playing us. They're playing us. They are in the same boat. They are not in the same boat with us. The citizens, the people, no. It's a kabudu. They are all in the same boat of different kabudus. They are all living well beyond their means. Go and find out their salary, their allowances, or anything they acquire legally, and see whether that have represented their interests, they represented their way of life. No. People buying properties outside the Gambia, building properties inside the Gambia, sending their children into international school, children to everything else. Where do they get that money from? But they would want to distract us, saying, oh no, because of I'm UDP, because I'm pro-Baro, because of I'm Fula, because I'm Jola, I'm this, I'm that. Nonsense. But again, because of the lack of reforms, the politicization encouraged by the government. Yes, and the government do it too. Playing up, bringing all these clowns. Now we have Dahaba telling us that he can be a minister. It's not an insult, but we all know Why give the Habadi the audacity to, I can be a minister, I can be an ambassador this. Why Bugumako? Yeah, if you have Busanos to be president advisors, that's what we have. Now this advisor is telling you, oh, Ben Suarez at the central bank is UDP. Or it's opposition, he doesn't like you. He doesn't like you. He thinks he's an intellectual. He thinks you are not educated. You are this, and it gets to Barrow and his people. But that's not the problem. It's part of the problem. The problem is most of them, I'm not saying all of them, most of them are abusing the systems. They are not only corrupt or getting into different kind of way of corruption, making money and other things. No, the other thing is abuse. Abusing this per diem, abusing these allowances. Per diem culture was not reformed. Go and look at central bank. Go and ask how much central bank spend on per diem and how many people benefit from per diem. It's one of the way of making money. The central bank was not reformed. Now, not only that, the politicization. Let me look at the latest scandal. 155 million scandal. I cannot remember again the figures. The report again was leaked. I put this research. Still, they haven't taken action on that. Now, if the central bank, let's say our heart is not healed, it's not well, how do you expect the body to work? The purpose of a central bank, what central bank does, how central bank inject confidence, how central bank bring in control mechanisms. But that central bank became contaminated in scandals from scandal, and still they will not tell us. Let's bring 2 other people and say that, oh yeah, now we have 2 other people, two new deputies. Individually, they might be okay, but if they are not careful, in fact, they will contaminate. What needed to be done is not done. Either if they have the integrity, they will end up resigning, or they will end up conforming themselves. Look the other way most of the time and try to listen. That's what they do. The central bank itself, look at the scandal of 155. What comes out of it, sir? We had the report. The report makes recommendation. This is the internal report of the central bank, their investigations. But we still did not have the police one. Because we can, we can go by the internal report, but the internal report can only address the internal. But the whole spec of things would be to able to interview the other people or other suspects who are not part of the bank. The bank cannot have access to people who doesn't work for them. They cannot interview them. All they can do is to deal with what is this thing and make the recommendations. But again, in the report, we found the Kaburu syndrome. Now, 2 deputy governors are accused in that report that they are not supportive of the governor, technically undermining the governor, withholding information and stuff like that. Both of them. Is that not a proof of that the Kabudu culture is still going on? But if you speak to them, they will point to another Kabudu, oh, this is the Kabudus fighting us. Those Kabudus will tell you, oh, these people are part of that Kabudu. Kabudu culture is there because that's how broken that system is. The structures are just rotten and about to fall. Now, if the confidence that we should have in the central bank, the mega bank scandal, the 155 million and other allegations of corruption, we had recently allegations of how the governor and the 2 deputy governor benefited from backdating certain payments. That's corruption. If they had that attitude, what do you expect them to do in overseeing other things? Look at the failure of the central bank. The amount of these people spend how much? How much did they spend to tell us 3 years ago they're going to introduce new currency? What did they guarantee us? The currency would be plastic, would not be rot, would not this, would not have special features, everything. Guess what? The quality is not there. Is that not corruption? Now, how can you say that that governor, how can you say those deputy governors were competent, they were not corrupt and anything else? They were. Because they failed. They corrupt. Either they corrupt, because they assured us. It's not there. Why did they fail? They're incompetent. They cannot introduce new currencies. Take currency out of circulation. Take old currency out of circulation. We still have circulation of jammed dollars. God knows how many fake dollars we have circulated. And most of it is coming from the central bank. Now, we had allegations of something that mirrored what is happening now. Oh, there are damaged dollars has been done this, done that. Why not we believe it? Still, they cannot come. They first came to say, no, it's not true, this. But they still did not come to give us the final report. They said they'll come with the final report. We still cannot get it from them. We got an internal report, but it's not the extended report we expected. Where's the police report? They failed us. How do we have confidence in the central bank? We hear commercial banks complaining that they are the amount of money coming out of the central bank, coming to their vault. It's damaged money, everything else. They cannot even be recognized. Why? Because that money go into the central bank, it should be stopped. That's the hard circulation. It goes through a system. There are systems that connect with either the liver or whatever we call it, filter it, gets to the heart and pump it again to go around again. Where's the filtration in the central bank that you have stopped those monies coming out? Why those monies coming out? That's what we should ask. Now, this is to give background of our situation. Background in a sense to say that, look, before we understand the memo, let's understand the background, because they sent us a memo, a leaked circular without us, without explanation that this is the reasons why we are doing this. They just say, do this, or don't do this. They say, don't do this and do this. But they are not giving us the reason why this is. The government is not addressing what they do is they come and say, oh yeah, because difficult times, COVID, or Russia and Ukraine, we have difficult times. Yes, that's true, we have difficult times, COVID, Russia and so on. But our COVID, we know what happened in our COVID. It was an opportunity moment, and they squander it and just fill their banks. A lot of money was pumped into the economy. Where did it go? The business patrons, procurement, big procurements, and everything. Nobody knows. We cannot even see the ambulance. Nothing was done right. There's no planning or anything. Now, that's not the only problem. Our problem is what the facts are: failure of reforms. Our institutions are not reforms. They are not fit for purpose. The structures are not this thing. The capacity is not one. There's no direction. There's no planning. The national NDP was dumped for what? Political, entrenchment programs, projects, roads, bridges. Or yeah, the international or other external. Let's raise it domestically. This is what's going to happen. We say this is what's going to happen. No, because they want to say that we build all these roads. Where are they? What does it do to the economy? The lack of reforms, institutional reforms. Look at the port authority, Prague. Look at the airport, constrained by what again? Look at the tourism. Look at agriculture. Where? Where are our productive industries? Where are the job creation? Where are the youth educational reforms to prefab it? Where are the skills, to direct to skills and to feed the economy? No, we are even importing labor. This was it. Now, we saw a memo. Let me see if I can read the memo. It's too tiny. It's thank you. The report actually was leaked. A leaked report. This one, a copy from Ajib Bank. Leaked. And I will come to this. Let me just read this. I'll come to that. Prohibition of forex cash withdrawal from foreign currency deposits accounts and shipment of forex bank notes on behalf of customers. Now, this is the headline. This system was introduced, again, there was a reason for this, to help people, to make sure people will put their money into the banks. The forex will be into the banks. Then, you know, the scarcity and other things would be avoided. I believe if economics are here, or people who remembered why it was introduced, but I believe this was the reason it was introduced, to help the circulation of foreign currency and so on. Because we have to understand the parallel markets we have. We have the local, what they call the black market, and other forms of forex system working in that country. But again, at the time, we have all these forex bureaus every other corner, which again encourages money laundering and other things and so on. You know, it was just open up. Now, people to deposit their forex on conditions with the bank, and when they need the forex, they go and get the forex. Now, what was happening was people were hoarding their forex. I have dollars, I have pounds, I'll put it under my bed, because either I don't need it now, I want to use it when I need it. If I don't want to exchange it now, I want to wait dollars to depreciate, I can get more. There are many reasons doing it. Some people were not dealing, but because of the nature of their business, they need forex. Now they need to keep it. Even it's not safe to keep in your house, you keep it in your house or office. This is the this was the background. Now these people just turned around. They did not. We do not know. The government still did not tell us. We know all they're telling us here and there. We have guys. But what is the government doing? The government should tell us now that, look, with the new emergencies coming up from Ukraine and these things, now we are going to withdraw our budget. We are going to give new priority. This is what we're going to do with agriculture. Make sure in 6 months we'll have that much grains, we will have that much this, that much, we're going to inject this much. Just as when COVID came, we stopped everything. Okay, we're going to withdraw the budget here, we're going to stop travel, we're going to stop this, we're going to stop the conferences, we have to reduce on training and so on, we have to bring this. Oh, we found 500 million. Now this 500 million will be redirected to these places, that place. I know they didn't direct it there, but this is what should have happened now, to give us new direction. What area of agriculture we're going to prioritize? Grains, not peanuts. Coos, millet, and other things. Rice, something like that. But no, they are not telling all that. They just come out with forex. Now, it says, in an endeavor to ensure all market transactions are duly conducted in the country by legal tender, banks are hereby advised with immediate effect to desist from paying out forex foreign currency withdrawals in foreign currency, but must pay in dollars. Any bank found to have permitted the withdrawal of cash in foreign currency will be duly penalized as prescribed by the central bank. Furthermore, all banks are hereby directed that forex banknotes shipment shall be for the purpose of funding banks' nostrils accounts. Customers who bring foreign currency should sell to the bank rather than shipment being conducted on their behalf to fund their private accounts. This is in line with enhancing our anti-money laundering framework. They're talking about anti-money laundering framework. What took them this long? If they think that the system, they had 5 years when they came into new government, that system encouraged money laundering. But before we get to that one, let's deal with the first one. Now, people that had their forex in the banks now will not be allowed to take forex out. They have to take it in dollars. what do we expect to get? What do we expect here? Now, you think Ben Suarez will go to Gambia with Forex and put the deposit in the bank? No. Now, because of this statement, without explaining further, because I tell you that's not true. We'll get to this. The entirety of the problem is not been explained here. And not only to be explained, measures to be taken. Speculation have already continued. We all know how many places you go to find rent, and they will ask you to pay in dollars. Do you think the government did not know that? The people, right? I mean, some of these people telling you they're going to enforce this. I tell you, they have properties, and I tell you, they are asking dollars for those properties. And you think because of this statement, people will not continue to ask dollars for these things? No, the problem is that what did we do to make sure our dollar is not what it should be? These are the underlying problems we should ask ourselves. What are the underlying problems here? Why there's no confidence in the dollar? It's in dollars. Zimbabwe started this way, and other countries went that way. Their local currency been undermined. Now the Minister of Finance, who was Trade Minister, telling us, oh, it's good for goods to come to Senegal. And we go to Senegal, we take our dollars, we sell it in CFA, go and get our goods from Senegal, and he said that was good for us. Now that's our finance minister. You see, when he was telling us that, you think he didn't know that he was lying? He knew he was lying. And people are saying, oh, he's half credible. That's a lie. Let's say that we don't know him, but we'll not say that he has competence. Either he's a liar or he doesn't have competence. Because to say that was completely a lie. Now these are the things we should talk about. These are the underlying problems. What led us to bring in goods from Senegal? What? Because now we're going to spend CFA. What does that do to our dollars? This speculation have already started. Now that's a problem. Now people have this thing, they'll start to hoard their dollars. And it's going to affect the dollars reform. The local rate would just start spiraling, and the bank will not able to keep up. They will have to follow suit. And I think this was the reason why they said, okay, bring your money into the bank. Bring your funds into the bank. Now they came out with this measure. The other bit they're talking about, that now the banks, or they cannot. This is interesting. 2 days ago, I explained an incident that happened. Nandu, the Indian businessman, Nandu's son. We got information from Central Bank itself that Nandu's son, I think it's called Nandu, an Indian businessman, son was arrested in Dubai for money laundering because they found a lot of money with him, which had been declared or without valid documents, whatever they call that. But since it happened, Mambure was the finance minister. Mambure, Musa Drame, and Amadba. I know Amadba is a friend of Nando. They do a lot of business. These three apparently were trying to push the central bank governor to kind of provide alibi, saying that, oh, the transaction was known or whatever it is, to give it a clearance, but the person forget to collect his clearance. A clearance was made for the bank. They're trying to do that. This was the information. And the person even tell me that, please do it so that the pressure, because the person is a friend to the governor, technically a friend, I know this friend anyway, that the pressure on the governor will be reduced, that this is from pressure on the governor. Now, I'm not saying that because of that expose, now they're talking about individuals would not be facilitated to ship money out, foreign currency out, and it will end up in their personal accounts. I'm not saying that it might be a coincidence, but again, might be that because of it was leaked or because of the incident that had happened. Now that's why they're doing this. They're coming with this. It's no brain. No bank should facilitate any transaction like that. Either the money to be shipped, to go to transfer to accounts, to go, but not to facilitate that for private decision. That's what money laundering is. Because civil servants to be able to transport money, or some questionable businesses, to be able to transport some of that money, foreign currency. There's a system that they ship. If I think every 2 weeks, there's shipment of foreign currency out of the country, officially, monitored by the central bank. That's how it should be done. Now, why tell us that don't do this? Is it happening? You see? Now, this is just open a can of worms. What is happening in the country? Everything we've been saying is that country is run on money laundering at a bigger scale. Corruption. You see the price of buildings. Price in that country where you don't have the infrastructure right, we don't have even nothing right. They're selling you similar buildings in here. The price of Western Europe, Spain, and other places, when you don't have the infrastructures to support what that environment should be. This is the problem we have. Now, to come out with this circular is not helping. It's not helping. But what it does, just to point to the crisis we are facing. And as I said on my post, I had to do this quick. As I said on my post, I made a post on this because, as I said, when these things happen, we do consult too. We consult industry experts on this, and there's one message I just saw even came in now. They could not send yesterday. My post was about why the state won't tell us why they're taking this extreme measure that they didn't tell us. We dealt on that. Is it due to the weakness of the dollar against major currency? We dealt with that. Is the central bank acting with the belief that this weakness of the dollar is caused by speculation or rather than underlying needs? We dealt with that. The problem we have is not speculation, but there are economic realities we have to accept, and we'll talk about those realities. If the Central Bank of the Gambia stopped individual shipment and forced only cash withdrawal, would it not kill the parallel markets and so forex demands has an underlying transactions? We explain that again. We should understand why the black market is allowed to operate the way it operates, or what we call it the black market, but now even structured more with this bureau themselves. Yes, they should be regulated. They should be regulated, but there's a reason for this. In the economics we have is different from what is structured here in the UK and others. And if you want to think that you can stamp it out, you are creating more problems. You are just driving it even down. And I'll tell you, the banks, I did forex in the around 1992. I had to get out of it. It's not ethical. I'll tell you, it's not ethical. I'm not saying that you cannot be ethical with it, but the environment is just toxic. And if you are into money, you can easily be sucked in. I'll explain this. I have once been walking into a bank after midday. The bank closes at midday to reopen again. I was walking into the bank and given money to safeguard. That afternoon, that money that was going to be lent to a businessman to put onto emergency to buy a property. Those same bankers, when I was doing forex, would arrange the markets with me. I left because of the unethical nature. One or twice I said no. It's so unethical. It's theft. Taking people's money deposited, work with that money, make profits and share it with bankers. Yes. Don't think bankers go just to steal money from the vault. No. Yeah, they steal more from the vault by taking money from the vault or other things and give it to these things and work with it. Make arrangements for forex to come in and play with the rates. Even give you forex to sell, and I mean, there are many ways. And if you think that by putting these things, no, you just open up a market. I'll tell you, you just open up a market. You just open up a bigger market for them now. You are in fact helping the black market. We move on, and I talk about how sustainable is this strategy. Would it not alarm the markets and force speculation and hoarding of forex? That's what is happening right now. Alternative solutions. The alternative solution: should the central bank not advise the government to take up a holistic approach that would restore trust, confidence to the investors and consumers, and help the economy weather the storm? The government have to come out. Government have to explain how they're going to deal with this shocks or what problems we have, how we do these things. This is what going to encourage people to have confidence, to continue spending, to continue to putting their money in this. If not, people will start to hide their money or avoid spending. This is one of them. For a start, the government should revisit the budget to introduce a streamlined budget, austerity budget, and to fund the funds directed to priority areas of the productive sector. As I stated before, the budget have to be looked at again. Cut all these paradigms. Just the paradigms. You tell you how much. We have seen the list. 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. These are not going to farmers. Are going to individuals for their lifestyles. And some of this money is shipped out in other forms. A lifestyle. The money should go to farmers. But again, we'll come to that. These conditions will force government to combat the corruption and stop the leakage. Failure to arrest the rampant corruption and the waste of resources, the conditions will just get worse. These conditions should force government to think of corruption properly, but they can't. They can't. They can't. They don't. They will not just say it's enough. What Wolof said, if you don't hold their hands, they will just keep on dipping. They can't stop themselves. They are addicted. It's like someone with an addiction. Corruption. They are addicted to corruption now. Theft. They're addicted to theft now. They're addicted to their lifestyle. They have to keep that lifestyle going. They cannot keep that lifestyle any other way if not corruption. The waste of money going to unnecessary spendings should be stopped. These are the things that would restore conditions, but not to commit a circular. No, they would disregard it. Yes, they might not. They're even the money in. Nobody will put their money into a bank, forex into a bank. Forget about those foreign currency accounts. It's not going to function anymore. But you are giving speculators, opportunity now. You are not restoring confidence. What restores confidence is to come and address the problems, the solutions, fight the corruption, put in competence. You expect now giving somebody like Sabali agriculture. This is when you have been serious about agriculture. But no, it's a political game, politicization. I said, secondly, productive failure to, thirdly, reflections, alternatives. These conditions will force the government to combat the corruption and stop the leakages. Failure to arrest the rampant corruption and waste of resources, the conditions will get worse. Reflection, what do we reflect on to understand why we're here? What else, apart from the COVID-Russia war, causes the high price of price inflation? We have to ask that question. And I put it in this way. One, lack of fiscal and monetary discipline. Spending on political projects. For example, the Banjul Road project. That's just an example. When we talk about the fiscal and monetary disciplines, no. They advance political interests to prove that they have work. They're legating. People to see it, not people to feel it. If we had done the right thing, I mean, spend on the vocational training to train more Gambians to access the skilled jobs, stop importing people to do it, I mean, help the where economy grows. These are things we needed to do. We haven't done that. Two, I said lack of number one, lack of fiscal and monetary discipline, spending on political projects. For example, the Banjul project for re-election. By borrowing from international and local markets. That's what they did. When international would not give them money anymore, they went to local markets. And they borrowed, and now we are paying for that. The rampant corruption, incompetency that affected institutions like the sea and airport. I'll just give two, but I can go, let's go on. GRA is not even bringing in the revenue it should bring. They're coming, oh, we collected 2 billion, 3 billion. You'll be surprised that might not be even 50% of what they should collect. And they are even collecting from wrong places. Probably they're squishing the small businesses more than the big business. Go and look at the lifestyle of people in charge of that money collections. That tells you where the corruption is. This has to be addressed. The corruption has to be addressed. The incompetency has to be addressed. If not, we will not. The encourage an enabling environment. This taking money from people traveling to the Gambia is discouraging a lot of families. And that money, in fact, is not invested into the country. It's going to people's pocket. Tell me where it goes. This is where the problems are. Three, lack of productivity, relying on importations of goods, services, and labor. Everything we import. Everything we import. Everything we import. There's nothing we add. We depend on which is domestic, because the government does not have a plan. We import everything. How do we expect? What do we expect now? And you think because of don't sell currencies this way, it will make a difference? The agriculture, what should we do in agriculture? The corruption, incompetence allowing us. Fisheries, and go on and go on. Let's go on. All these things could have bring about change, transformation. We move on again. I said, importing everything. Failure to harness the diaspora capitals and lack of seriousness is investing and taking the opportunity to operate the productive sectors effectively. Example, tourism, agriculture, and fisheries. The diaspora refused to harness the diaspora capitals. The time of crisis, you would just have no. A lot of things could have been transformed in these 5 years if we have harnessed the diaspora capitals. From the social capital, the human rights, the human resource capitals, the financial capitals, everything else could have been harnessed. But no, there's no diaspora strategy, because no, they don't want the competition. They see it as competition. But that's good for our country. They're not interested in that. And look at tourism, look at agriculture, look at fisheries. All these things could have their parallel strategy to get the diaspora to get involved. And if these areas were invested right, given priority and manned right, I'll tell you, we would have weathered this better. Waste of resources on constant celebration, financing the executive, excess of the executive, and the constant abuse of the pardon culture. Look at the budget for State House. Why can't we streamline the budget for State House? Why can't we streamline the budget for the executive? How many vehicles are ministers been given? How many coupons, fuel coupons? the vehicle control that was introduced. Why did we move away from that? Because no, if that was this thing, it stopped them from abusing it. Now they don't want to do it. What are we doing to stop that? We have to have efficiencies, savings. We have to cut this waste, celebration of everything. But no, now the reality is that we have to be very cautious. I said caution. Is this the early signs of total economic collapse as been witnessed in Sri Lanka? Brace up. Brace up. Let the cabinet tell us what is happening. And Gambia, we have to brace up. This is a start signs of the economic collapse. And civil unrest will follow. And we've been saying this is going to happen. And now it's here. Now, to avoid it, we have to step up. The current government have to step up. And people who thought we were critics of government, we hate them, we are jealous and nonsense. Look, now we can open our eyes and look at what's happening. Okay, guys, it's been a long one actually. I wanted to spend an hour 50 minutes. But as I said, it's just an overview, a brief, and we'll discuss this more. But most of these things have been discussed before. It's just to alert Gambians where we are. This memo, it's not encouraging. It's not the solution. It's not a solution. It's just a reaction. And I think it's going to make things worse. We have to be realistic and government to come out and do the right things. Thank you.